Big shout out to Bean Working Espresso down in Skyring Terrace, Newstead.
Best coffee in the game.
Best absolute coffee in the game. Hooking the Platform podcast, and any listeners up with a 10% discount.
Shout out.
Shout out to Yolanda.
Yolanda.
That was a mouthful.
Their coffee's real fucking good.
Best coffee in the game, by far. Just opened up Skyring Terrace. You can order ahead and mention the Platform podcast for a 10% discount. This is the Platform podcast with B-Bad and Brandon. Welcome to the Platform podcast. We are your hosts.
We didn't do that last time.
I know, but it was...
Trying to be bad.
Yeah, well,
Brandon Greco.
You definitely ruined that one.
You guys are now formal that I'm here. I appreciate it.
I know, we've actually... That was a lot more formal than Anton's.
Yeah.
No, we did nothing but protocol. We don't actually have protocol.
It was good. That was good, Anton's. He can talk.
Fuck yeah.
Boy can talk. Now, to my left, if you're watching, or if you're listening, also to your left.
If you're watching, is it on your right? Not
Jason?
your right, their right.
Mind blown.
Right. Yes. Good pickup.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Anyway, so to your right, you'll hear the
Your
lovely
left,
voice.
though.
My left, your right. Tiae Marks, welcome.
Thank you, guys.
There's an applause. Thanks. See, that's why we missed Cambo already.
Our first audience member. Shout out Cambo.
First audience member. We will be opening up in the near future. So, Tia.
Are you ready?
Yes,
This-
maybe. We'll see.
Well,
Did you listen to any episodes before this?
do you know what's coming?
I did think this through, and I probably forgot everything I thought about.
Yeah, it
21
happens.
words, who you are and what you do. As you know, because you've listened, he counts the sounds, the noises, the words, all the things. Starting now.
Owner of Bionic Fitness, purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu, ex-powerlifter.
12 words.
Grew up in China. Entrepreneur since I was 16.
Wait, that's 19. 2 words left.
I'm good with that.
That's 3 words, but we'll take it. Well done, 22. It's actually probably one of our closer ones. I'm really impressed with that. Now, that was a very quick snapshot of what you do, and I've
Sounds
known...
like you do a lot.
It sounds like you do an awful lot, in a good way.
Podcast on each one of them.
Yeah, we could, actually.
Do you know Chinese?
I've lost a fair bit of it being here, but as a teenager, I spoke a decent amount.
Yeah, wow.
But
Because you're, like, let's explore that firstly. Like, you grew up... You were born in Australia?
yeah, so I was born in Sydney, grew up in Newcastle until I was 11, and then I moved to Shanghai, China when I was just about to turn 12, and I moved to Brisbane when I was 18.
Wow.
So it's just where my dad got transferred to next.
With work.
Yeah, with work. And then he went off to Dubai for a couple of years, and then we stayed here, and the family liked it, so we made it the hub.
Yeah, sick.
So yeah.
What was it like in China as a bloody 12-year-old going over? And
So completely different world. When we first moved there, a lot of Chinese haven't seen white people before.
Wow.
So we went with 4 of my siblings, and my 2 brothers are probably about your guys' size, like quite big. And everyone wouldn't stop looking at them. They couldn't stop staring at
Our
their
guys'
feet.
size.
yeah, I
Like
love
they-
how you said we were big in that, but anyways, continue.
Well, since you guys can't see them, they're massive. They're huge.
Oh,
Particularly Brenda.
that's a lie.
So yeah, completely different experience. But the craziest thing was there's no clubbing and drinking age. So at 13, it was extremely regular for every teenager to be in nightclubs every single weekend.
Really?
Yeah, so you could go to the 7-Eleven down the shop and buy alcohol. You were walking into any nightclub you wanted. They didn't check ID. So on the weekends, instead of whatever teenagers do here, you're in proper nightclubs getting completely drunk.
Wow.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was some parents were really strict and some parents were really relaxed. My parents were quite relaxed with it, but I had 2 older brothers that were always there, so it didn't, they always knew I was looked after.
Yeah.
So everyone would stay at my house and then they'll go out from my house because my parents didn't care. But when I was about 14, the rule was I had to be back by midnight. Then as I got older, I got to stay out a little bit longer. So, damn, I have to be back by midnight at 14 from a nightclub.
Yeah,
But-
it's like, I don't remember staying up till
Did
like...
you come home to Australia in that period and you're like, oh, let's go hit a club with your mates, and you're like, oh, hang on, I can't do
Yeah,
that.
I came back at 14 and then I met up with some old school friends I knew as a kid, and they're like, oh, it's Friday night, I want to go drive around. And I was like, what do you mean you're going to go drive around? Like, we're just going to drive places. I'm like, where? Why? What do you mean drive places? So it's just completely different world.
Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah, but one thing, when I was about 16, my parents were like, if you keep going out clubbing, you're not going to enjoy it when you get older. And I was like, never. And then I came back to Australia 18, went out a few times and did not enjoy it. And then I got into fitness.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is boring. Let's go try something new.
I feel like you got that clubbing phase out earlier before everyone.
Yeah. And also clubbing in Australia is quite boring. So when I was I don't know how much Brendan's told you about me, but when I was 16, I started my own business in China and I started running nightclub events for teenagers. So what I would do is I go to these like multi-million-dollar nightclubs that were completely empty. So Chinese people will buy nightclubs to show off to their friends, but they'll just be empty and run with stuff. So they have a thing called 100 RMB all you can drink. So that's about $20 all you can drink the whole night. I know. That then Australia will have a higher death rate with alcohol.
Yeah.
But so what I do is I'll go to these nightclubs that were penthouse, gorgeous nightclubs, and I'll say, what's the cheapest you can give it to me? And usually it was about 60 RMB. So I charge 100 and I'll take 40% of the door. And I'll fill it with 200 to 300 teenagers, and I do that every single month. And then I'll get some of my friends that were DJs, and I'll get some of my friends that were dancers, and then we'll just make a massive party, and we call it Shanghai Clubbers. And we'll just take over like massive penthouse, gorgeous nightclubs once a month and throw like big ass parties. So
How much money are you making on each one of these events?
I can't
Yeah,
remember now,
40%.
but I'll walk with like my pockets were just stacked of cash because it's just full cash in hand. And then when I was 16, I decided I wanted to start DJing, so I used some money to go buy my own DJ set. And then I'll tell nightclubs that I was in my 20s, and then I ended up DJing in 4 countries before I turned 18.
That's
So
sick.
Where
What were
did
the
you DJ?
countries?
I did Bali, Cambodia, Thailand, and China. A few places in China.
Cambodia?
So I did come back to Australia, and then I did DJ in a few places. I did like the Chalk Hotel when it was apparently cool, and a couple before it shut down. It was once cool when I moved here, and a couple like basic places, but the DJ platform was on the ground. I had to start up again.
Yeah.
Everyone, there's just the Australian drunks. There's just a different level of drunk. The guys are a little bit more seedy here, so I was like, didn't enjoy it as much.
That's
yeah.
So just a quick snapshot, if you don't mind. How old are you now?
28.
So you've been, as you said before, obviously an entrepreneur since you were 16. That's 12 years you've been running your own, because you run your own business now. And
Yes, I've always ran my own business.
that's insane. Like what kickstarted the idea when you're 16 in Shanghai going, I'm going to go boss this?
Well, my brother was 5 years older than me, and he was managing nightclubs. So he was actually a flair bartender. He moved there at 16 and started bartending, and then he moved to America and Canada and started competing in flair bartending. And
What's
then he
that,
came where they throw bottles around and in
Yeah.
fancy ways and
Oh,
make
cool
fancy
shit, cool.
cocktails.
Yeah, okay.
So he was actually like really good with it and traveled and won a lot of like awards and things like that. And then he came back and started managing a nightclub, and then I was working with him, and then and then I was like, oh, I'm going to start throwing little parties at this nightclub. It was this massive one. It was probably about the size of the Met. So it wasn't a little nightclub. We actually had Ghostface Killer play there and a bunch of other like big artists come. It was a little bit uncomfortable. I met Ghostface Killer and like the Wu-Tang Clan, and I was with the manager, and I think I was like 16, 17 at the time, and he's trying to like take me home, and I'm like, I'm a teenager, and I'm there in like the back room hanging out with the whole group, and they'll obviously think I'm in my 20s, and I was like, yeah, I should probably go. They don't realize I'm quite young. But yeah, so I started just seeing the back end of how it worked, and I knew a lot of people. My brothers were quite popular with the Western community, so I met a lot of friends, and then yeah, just one thing led to another.
And you were just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, it was just go to places, talk to the Chinese people, so I could have conversations, I could like do deals.
Yep.
And then yeah, so I think it's because of my brother that he got me into it all.
That's insane.
Sick.
So then coming back to Australia, you obviously try to do it over here, and then obviously I know you in the fitness world,
Yeah.
and you know I've coached you in the past in powerlifting, and where did the fitness come from? Because they're like completely two different worlds.
Yeah, so I actually started a internet marketing company when I first started, came here, and I was telling people that one day you're going to see like a Facebook logo on like a menu, and you're going to see you're going to look at a Facebook page before you look at a website, and everyone thought I was crazy. And I was telling businesses, don't worry about a website, you need to work on social media. So I was actually going to businesses, and they'll pay me, and I was teaching them how to use social media. But at that time I was like, how to set up a Facebook page. Instagram didn't exist then, and how to set up your website, and I used to build websites. And then I went to university and I was like, I feel like I should get a degree or something. So I went and did just my first year of business and ended up meeting a young girl
You
there.
already knew way more than that first year already taught
It was
you.
useless. They were talking about newspaper and magazines and things like that. So at this
That's
time,
more like 10 years ago.
That stuff's dead.
yeah,
Fuck, that's 10 years ago.
yeah. So
Wow.
at this time, I was actually super into the Joe Rogan experience when I was 18 years old. I was one of his first, I swear, it's like first 2,000 followers. When I used to watch it, there was like maybe 200 views on each video. And the only reason I used to watch it is because they were sponsored by the Fleshlight and they used to do all the advertisements in front of people. So at 18, I got to listen to grown men talk about sex.
I was going to say like Fleshlight, the Fleshlight.
Yeah, the Fleshlight, a sex toy.
You're in charge of them marketing and advertising.
No. I used to just listen to them a lot when I was 18. So I started to listen to them and then I heard about jiu-jitsu. But I knew nothing of it. And then my brothers took me to my first jiu-jitsu class and I hated it. It was in the middle of summer. It was disgusting. I had old dudes sweating on top of me. So we started we were drilling and then we got to roll. And then I had this old dude roll me and then he put me in a rear naked choke. And I didn't know what it was. No one told me that you're supposed to tap.
Oops.
So I'm there getting
to have a
choked
sleep?
out. I'm going to sleep and I'm there like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm like 18, uncomfortable. And then I was like, I remember listening to the podcast and they're saying something about tapping. So I hit the floor and you let go. And I was just like, I almost went out. It was really scary and uncomfortable. But so I could not go back to jiu-jitsu after that. I hated it. But then I went to university and I met a young girl and she was 16 at the time. And she was from Russia. Now, in this town in Russia that she was from, if you were raped, a lot of men won't marry you, and you can't find a husband. So her family ended up sending her over to Australia because they didn't want to. They want to make sure that she was quite pure when she goes back to get married. It's a little bit messed up. But her first 2 months in Brisbane, she was walking through the park in the city and was jumped by 2 guys.
Oh.
Yeah, fuck.
So she was one of my good friends at the time. She told me the story and she just told me that she completely froze. And she told me the whole thing, quite amount of detail. And I was thinking, what would I do? So I've got 3 older brothers and I've always assumed that they're always going to be around.
Yeah.
But I think I was about 19 at this time and I was like, okay, they're not going to be there if something like that happens. Like I was not around them as much anymore. So then I decided to go try jiu-jitsu again, this time in the winter. And in a gi, and I enjoy it a lot more. So I got into jiu-jitsu, boxing and Muay Thai, and then I realized I was so weak, I could not do a push-up. I tried to, I couldn't even press the barbell for a set of 5. I ended up using 5 kilo dumbbells and my arms were shaking. And then from that I started lifting and one thing led to another. That's how I got into fitness.
Fucking hell, there's a lot in that, that tangent.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So if my 16 to 18-year-old me looked at me now, I would not say it's the same person. Like fake hair extensions, fake eyelashes, long nails, always wore high heels, completely different person. I couldn't imagine being sweaty and rolling and touching strange men like that. And yeah.
That's insane.
And still rolling today?
Yeah, and still rolling today.
And so in that, obviously you got into fitness, and when did you get your, let's try and create a bit of a timeline now. So when did you go to uni?
I actually dropped out after the first year, but when I was 18, 19,
Sweet.
somewhere there.
And then when did you do, you got cert 3 and 4?
Yeah, I did them 5-6 years ago.
Oh, that's how we met. You shadowed me.
No, so I shadowed you for my ASCA level 1.
Oh,
So I was already had my cert 3 and 4 for 2 years at that point, a year or 2. Yeah.
Oh, that's how we met. I remember this now. It's coming back to me. And
Yeah,
then,
I was your favorite shadower you've ever had. You loved every moment of it.
I will neither confirm nor deny that. I've had a lot more people shadow me since yourself, so you don't know. Okay, so you got your cert 3 and 4, and then now you run, obviously you said Bionic Fitness.
Yeah.
And Strong, Happy, Healthy.
Yes.
Explain those two.
So Strong, Happy, Healthy was originally my PT brand, and then I did a lot of YouTubing and online things with that. So I actually kind of backed off the YouTube quite a bit when I went into doing Bionic Fitness because I just couldn't put my time everywhere and I had to figure out what was the thing I was going to grow the most. So my YouTube did go quite well. I have one video that I do not recommend anyone watching, but it's got now 4.6 million views.
Oh,
Can we, what's the video
just
called?
throw that in right now. Thanks, Jose.
It's the underwear one, isn't
It's the underwear one.
What happens?
No, okay, so what I was doing is I was trying to make a video a day because YouTube loves it if you post every day.
Yep.
And I was just trying to come up with random videos just to plug something in for every day. So I was like, I want to talk about what underwear is the best to wear underneath leggings
Yep.
that don't show lines. So this time, actually my thyroid was playing up. Well, this is when my thyroid started. So my skin was breaking out. I was gaining weight at this time. It was a very bad quality video. And I'm in like Kmart talking about what underwear to wear. And somehow it went viral.
Wow.
4.6 million views viral. And the amount of messages and emails I've gotten of asking how much for my underwear is insane. Like, it's
sorry, how much?
How much to buy my underwear? Yes.
What?
From that
Like,
video?
From that video. Like, I'm
What do you
talking
reckon we could...
hundreds.
What are they offering?
Like, no one ever put a price. I'm surprised, but
Dude, you could have sold
people
your...
were ask, yeah, no, I'm not
could've made
playing
some
that
money.
I
game.
don't think you understand the opportunity here. As an entrepreneur, I'm really ashamed.
I know.
You like could have bought $2 underwear from Kmart. Say you wore it.
Yeah. I could have got you to wear them.
I would have
Ben,
too.
I'll give you like
You
a
would be
cut
a premium
if
item.
you walk around wearing this underwear for me, and then we sell it underneath my name.
I literally would like. We could have made a killing.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed.
I do
Oh,
apologize.
it's not over. We can still do this.
It's so.
The video is still up and it's still getting views today, so technically we could still.
Well,
You
we're
can
gonna
still wear
put
the
that.
underwear.
That's 4.6 million.
It's huge.
That is huge.
It's a terrible
It's
video.
almost as many as we get.
It's a
Sure.
shocking video.
Oh, it's just not true right now. Okay, so you strong, happy, healthy.
Yeah.
Your PT brand, Bionic Fitness. Now that's one of the reasons we really wanted to get you on here is talk about that because that's very.
It's very interesting.
It's very interesting, but it's a very new concept still, especially in Australia. It's massive in I think Brazil.
No, in Germany, and also it's grown a lot in Brazil,
Yeah.
but Germany is originally where it's from. So in Europe, in Germany, they've got one studio per every 1,500 people. So literally every street there's a studio that
Really?
does this. Yeah, so Bionic Fitness, we use full body electromuscle stimulation. So kind of like a TENS machine, but a full body suit. So instead of just kind of isolating a muscle, you can do your whole body at once. So the reason I got into this was when I was powerlifting, I didn't realize that when I was going through all my thyroid stuff, that if you have a thyroid issue, that the lining of your pelvic floor actually thinnens, and that can cause a prolapse of your pelvic floor. So during deadlifting, my pelvic floor actually ended up dropping, which is similar to what happens when you have kids. So I couldn't powerlift anymore. I couldn't deadlift without having to run to the bathroom or wear a pad or have some very embarrassing moments in front of Brendan that I'm very appreciative that it was in front of him and not in front of a lot of other people.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy.
Yeah, he just kind of like laughed it off and he was like, no, we're good.
That's a proud coach moment.
So
Well, it's proud coach. Well, the thing was, it was something that it does happen in powerlifting. It's not ideal. Like
Yeah.
there's ways we can work around it, and then the more, I guess, more research, the more understanding a coach can be of that. Like if it does happen, it's not a judge. Like you don't judge the person for it. It's not their fault necessarily, but yours was a bit of a different issue because we couldn't treat it the same way I would treat someone else if that happens. She's like, cool, it's pelvic floor.
Yeah.
With your thyroid issue, as you explained before, there was a bit more to it.
yeah, so before every powerlifting session, I dehydrated myself like 2-3 hours and still couldn't, like somehow it's still liquid.
We definitely don't recommend that. That does not equate to better performance.
It was the only thing I could do. Like,
Yeah.
it was not fun, especially when we trained in the middle of the summer in a shed. Like, it was just so
shout
hard.
out
I was so
TTC,
dehydrated.
that hot sweat box.
Yeah. So anyway, pelvic floor issue. Then I went and saw a couple specialists and did lovely internal exams. This is when you're laying on a bed and a lady is sticking her fingers up you and you're doing breathing and squeezing exercises to make sure you're doing the right job. It's not as enjoyable as it sounds.
Yeah, right.
It's quite uncomfortable. You try and not make eye contact. Try and look at a wall.
Is there general chit chat in those moments?
Yeah,
or-
you actually try and don't like silence, so there's quite a bit
How's
of
the
chit chat.
weather?
I feel like you're trying.
What day's your bin day?
Just what have you been up to? Do you do this often? Like, do you enjoy your job? Just a little bit of a mix. Anyway, so I did all the specialists and all the treatments for about a year, and I just kind of kept lifting because I love lifting. And then I did hear that if I did keep lifting that and I don't address my issue, then if I have kids, I probably might end up having to get a sling or something put in one day, and I didn't really want to go through that. It sounds pretty horrific. So then with this EMS stuff, my business partner actually had it at our gym, randomly sitting there for about 6 years. He used it on himself and a couple clients, and he's like, hey, if you want, can you try these machines? And if you like it, I'll teach you how to do it on your clients. And I was like, okay, I'm a little bit old school. I think this looks really dumb and silly, but I'll give it a go. So I did a session, and then I was like sore in the abs and the arms, and I was like, oh, this is strange. I didn't expect to feel anything. So I was like, okay, so I'll do a few more sessions. And within 3 sessions, I realized I wasn't running to the bathroom. I was lifting without having to go do things, and I was just like, that's so strange. I wasn't doing my exercise anymore. I didn't change anything about like my routine and my diet. So then one day I was waiting for a client, and then I saw a research booklet on his table of all like science studies for the EMS device. Then I saw one on pelvic floor, and I was like, oh my God. So I started doing a couple more sessions, and then within a few sessions, like I could sneeze without an issue. I could like all my issues and fears was like all gone. So then I was like, okay, this is a thing. And then I started doing it, and then the amount of women it's changed is insane. So I have one lady actually who came to me because she has double knee replacements and she can't train. So the good thing about this device is you can activate all your muscles without putting any strain on your joints or ligaments. So we have a lot of people come in after an injury, or whilst they're in like a brace or a cast or something like that, or they just finished the surgery, or they can't train their like quads or glutes or something properly. So this lady came in with double knee replacements, and she did probably about 3 or 4 sessions at this point, and she told me that for her whole life, for 20 years, she had a surgery about 20 years ago for a sling put into a pelvic floor, and it failed. So she used to wear adult diaper every night because she can't get to the bathroom quick enough, and she's in her 70s, and because of her knee replacement, she can't move fast enough, so she has to sleep with a diaper. And she said she's done, I think, about 3 or 4 sessions. She's like, the only thing I've changed is doing this, and I can get to the bathroom in time. I don't have to wear a diaper at night. She's like, does that help you pelvic floor? I'm like, yeah, that's one of the things. And then now she's completely free. Like,
that's amazing.
No issue whatsoever. Yeah, it's just, and she's a little bit like upset that no one's ever told her about this in the past. But now they actually have for pelvic floor an EMS device that looks like shorts that does very similar thing just on the core and the legs.
Yeah,
that's massive.
And,
though.
yeah.
Like that's a huge thing, and especially obviously not just our industry, but that's huge. That is a massive, drastic change in just a couple of sessions.
Yeah.
We're all good.
That's cool. So now from that, you've opened up, is it 2 studios?
Yeah, so we now have a studio in Eagle Street. So this device is getting really popular amongst professionals and people that are quite busy. So it's like a 20-minute workout. You only can do it twice a week because otherwise you'll overtrain. So you come in and out. We do 2 parts to it, a fast twitch muscle fibers part, so it's your strength, and then slow twitch, which is your endurance. And then after 20 minutes, you're pretty much exhausted. You do not want to go any longer.
So you're kind of just standing there wearing this thing?
No, so we do full exercise. So the biggest argument against EMS devices is the fact that it doesn't train the movement. So we do make sure we move. We do make sure we squat and lunge and do push-ups, and we do rows, because otherwise people are learning to get the strength in their muscles, but they're not understanding how to use them. So we do make sure we move quite a bit. And also it's boring. Sitting there for 20 minutes talking to me.
Do you have resistance with weights as well, or is it just body
so at
weight?
our studio we do weights with it. We actually do play around with it and do like bodybuilding style workouts with it on. They used it in the last Generation Iron 2 documentary, the Mr. Olympia documentary. They were all using it. Yeah, so they were using it on their biceps for curls, and a lot of people started using it before they go on stage to get a pump because they're quite dehydrated. So if you do it, like your veins are popped, you're completely pumped after.
I did not realize that it had, I guess, ventured into the world of like bodybuilding and that sort of strength
Mr. Olympia's have gone crazy over it.
Really?
Yeah, so like Usain Bolt used it for his whole prep for the Olympics. Like so many athletes have started using it. All the soccer teams in Europe use it now. Like it's massive. But Australia's just a little bit further behind. We're a lot more skeptical of things, like as was I when I first did it. But it's one of those things you have to just feel and try, and then
get people in them, essentially.
But it's not for everyone. Like I had a client come in recently that you turned out a little bit. She's like, ow. I'm like, do you do exercise? Like if you're not okay with being uncomfortable, it's like it's a pain, but it's not a bad pain. So some people respond through giggling with it. So it's kind of like tickling. That when you get tickled, you know it's a pain, but your body knows it's a safe pain, so you respond through tickling. So it's a pain, but your body doesn't know what to do. So some people, sometimes like the biggest muscular dudes are the biggest gigglers, and they're like, it's painful, but they laugh because they don't know what to do. So it's definitely a unique feeling, but it feels really good. Yeah.
And what's the second session? So fast twitch fibers on the first session.
And then slow twitch. Yeah, so the second one, I've even just stood there and cranked it as high as I could take it, and I got my heart rate to about 120 from just standing there letting it just do my muscle fibers.
Wow.
Yeah, so just then they get puffed. So you only last about 5-10 minutes in that part because otherwise you just wrecked. But you become a lot more efficient with your fibers. So we actually have a lot of clients that are older. So as you get older, as you probably know, that you start to lose your fast twitch muscle fibers or the ability to activate them. So we have a lot of clients that they'll max the machine at the start because they're old and they can't like actually get those fibers working. And then within a couple of sessions or weeks or months, they've got their numbers way down and they can actually like feel all their muscles. They move a lot quicker. They're a lot stronger.
How would that, like, I'm thinking, is there much research on that translating to people who, you know, like in strength training have trouble, not necessarily feeling it, but, you know, how would that affect someone? I don't believe there's things, let's just use I rambled there. I apologize to all the listeners, but let's think, people say I have lazy glutes now. Like, yeah, you don't have lazy glutes in a squat. They just don't work in the order that you need them to. Is there like any sort of research where people have used the EMS and then like gone back and said, oh, it's helped me in this aspect?
I don't know if there probably is like actual research, but we definitely do have people come in with lazy glutes. I have one young girl who cannot physically activate her core. She's been to so many physios and specialists. She's in so much back pain because her core is just non-existent. Like she can't bend over and pick things up because for some reason she can't activate her core. So within a couple of sessions, she can now activate her core for just like maybe like 5-10 seconds at a time, but before she could never actually activate her core. So it does definitely.
So in the sense
that
it helps create like a neural pathway to the point, because when people start to feel something, they can more associate with it.
Yeah, they probably don't know what it feels like to
begin
like
with.
tense.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize there was
definitely
so much more, like, I guess, application to it.
Yeah, so there's about 15 to 20 studios now in Australia.
When you started, there was only one.
Yeah, so we
yours.
had one main competitor, and now they've got about 12 studios, mostly around Sydney and Perth. And then now we're still the only ones in Brisbane, and there's one in the Sunshine Coast as well.
Yep.
But there's like a little studio. But it's growing quite a bit.
I was going to say, you've seen the demand for it. Like,
Yeah.
Look, at these people are coming in, maybe skeptical, maybe not, but once they've used it, seen it, touched it, it's like, fuck. Right.
Yeah, but most people that find out about us are usually either through referrals or friends, or know someone overseas that's done it, or they've seen a celebrity overseas that did it. So all the Victoria's Secret models have all started doing it.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I was like, I better take a photo now before I forget.
That's pretty cool.
So now that it's getting quite big everywhere else, more people are starting to come and check it out.
Yeah, that's cool. So for you, you'd be thinking you'd like to open another one?
Yeah, so our goal is 25 in the next few years. So we were supposed to open another 4 this year, and then COVID.
Classic COVID.
COVID was a lot of fun for us.
Thanks, COVID.
So we had to close. So our Toowong studio is pretty much back to normal. Our city studio is the one we had to build back up because it's in the offices.
Yeah.
So we're actually in an office building. Yeah, and
Yeah.
no one's in the city. So a lot of our city clients have moved over towards us in Toowong because they can drive.
Yep.
But yeah, so we'll just see how COVID goes. The problem with COVID is a lot of people think we're going to lock down again. So many people don't want to start something new thinking we're going to lock down, which is kind of silly, and thinking if you know you're about to like go to prison, are you just going to stay inside your house? Like if you know you're about to lock down, wouldn't you take this opportunity to try and get as fit and healthy as possible, especially since we just had a health scare?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, but people take any excuse not to work out and
People
not
like
to
those
get fit.
excuse things.
Yeah, excuses.
What are they?
Excuses.
Oh, those things I used to tell myself all the time. Oh, that's right.
Well, this hurts, so I can't.
Yeah, I've had plenty of them.
They're my favourite.
They are. But now, okay, so let's talk. Where are you going to open next?
We're actually thinking around this area, Newstead.
Sick.
So somewhere around Newstead next, somewhere a little bit further out. But we had a couple people asking us to open up in places. We've had a fair few people like approach us to be investors, but we don't really want to go that route. We think we can do it ourselves. So it's just me and one other person.
Yeah.
What causes this drive? That entrepreneur in you that just wants to grow and be more? And
Because you've done a lot, dude. Like in 12 years, you've done a lot.
I'm not sure. I think it's interesting. My mum says that my dad used to say he wants all his kids to be entrepreneurs when they grow up. So maybe he kind of pushed that into us, although I think I'm the only one that has kind of gone that way.
Yep.
I think also
What's your dad do?
An engineer,
Damn.
civil engineer.
So smart. Far out. And then, okay.
But I think it's just being your own boss, choosing your own hours. You seem to work, 20 times more hours for yourself than you ever would for someone else. But you don't actually get a break, but you enjoy every moment doing it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's so much more rewarding.
The good quote from Pete is, you never need a day off if you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think I also like having full control over my own results, which is also why I didn't like team sports growing up, because I don't like to rely on anyone. Whereas if I'm failing, it's because of me. If I'm not succeeding, it's because of me. So I'd rather...
That's what kind of drew you to jiu-jitsu and powerlifting, I imagine.
Yeah.
And fucking strong at it. One of my favourite memories of Tiae was like, we were just training, not really prepping, and then I had a client pull out of a comp, and I was like, "Oi, Tiae, do this comp on 2 weeks' notice." And she ended up pulling 140 like a boss.
That's fucking cool.
I don't even think we...
No, I think the conversation was Tiae's comp. It's like, no. He's like, do the comp. I'm like, no. It's like, you doing the comp. I'm like, okay. That was more how the conversation went. It wasn't really...
Did you pull 140?
I'm in. Yes.
And
But-
I don't see what the problem is.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, that's good. Real
You
good.
should come back.
I do miss it.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
There we go.
Yeah, I heard you're in.
Just edit that bit where it said ex-powerlifter out of the thing.
Yeah, we'll have to get Niall. It should just say powerlifter now.
100%.
But how's your health as well? Because you've battled with your thyroid issues for a long time, and
Yeah, so the thyroid journey has definitely been a journey. It's been about, I think I met you when I just started going through the thyroid stuff. So when the thyroid thing first happened, I gained 25 kilograms of body fat in 4 months.
Ooh.
And I went to a doctor and I'm like, I'm gaining fat. I don't know what it is. And she's like, it's muscle. I'm like, muscle does not jiggle. I was like, I know it's not muscle. And she...
unless you're Terry Crews, muscle doesn't jiggle.
And she refused to test my blood. So I walked out and asked for another doctor straight away.
What?
And I found a doctor and he tested my blood and then he gave me a full blood panel and he's just like, oh, you're fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. So I started Googling where my measurements should be and I was definitely had thyroid issues. So then I went to a specialist and he looked at it and apparently I had absolutely no sex hormones, no thyroid, and my bloods were just terrible.
But that was fine for doctor number 2?
So yeah, that was fine for doctor number 2.
Yeah, great.
But I feel like
They
doctors...
piss me off.
Yeah, like I feel like, and I mean, I'm not a doctor by any stretch.
You're a doctor.
I'm doctor of gains.
Yeah, you
But I just look at, I was explained to this one day by a naturopath. Now, I don't necessarily buy into the full naturopathy, and I feel sometimes it's a bit airy-fairy, but she explained to me in this way, like doctors look at a set range,
Yeah.
and naturopathy and naturopaths, they look at where they want you to sit to be an optimal human
Yeah.
being. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's a massive takeaway when you look at anything. Like, there's a set range for things, but if you're at a lower end of that set range, you're still going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
So we want to be in that optimal range. And I'm sure that's when you started Googling, you kind of found out that that's where you really wanted to sit. And
Yeah. So that specialist finally he put me on natural thyroid hormone, which is directly from a pig's thyroid. So they take it from a pig and they dry it. And it's more of a natural way to go into thyroid medication. But I did that for a little bit. It stopped some of the weight gain, but still all the symptoms were all there. And I went to, I think I've counted 16 different specialists over the last 4 years. And the amount of medication, like now I'm on like 11 different tablets, just still trying to figure it out. I've lost most of my weight, but I've got about 5-6 kilos left to go to get to where I was. And there's still a few symptoms, but I've gotten rid of most of it. But the thing is, it's just the amount of clients that have like a little thyroid thing or a little bit of a medical thing, and they're not willing to do the research and not willing to actually find what's wrong with them and fix them is insane. Like, I literally won't stop until I've gotten a hold of it.
do they know what caused it? Because like, I'm sure there's so many people out there and a lot of women who are dealing with that.
Stress. So it was a mix between... I was training powerlifting 4 or 5 times a week and jiu-jitsu 4 or 5 times a week, I think, and
That's
then
a good mix.
conditioning. So I was
That's what I
doing
meant, yeah.
13 hard training sessions a week.
I think I remember telling Tia, like, you're training too much.
Yeah, and I definitely was under eating. I was probably eating like 2,000 max for 13 training sessions a week, and I was training hard.
2,000 calories a day maximum.
Yeah.
It's a bit short.
Yeah, it was.
a little short.
It was bad, but
I'm
the
not
thing
a
is,
dietitian, but-
I had like a little bit of body fat left, and I really wanted to try and lose this last bit of body fat. And then obviously it just one day just turned, and I was watching the scales, and it was going up, and I couldn't understand why it's going up. So of course scales are going up. I'm cutting my food down more. I'm training harder, and I'm
good.
just shooting myself in the foot just over and over again.
But you didn't know any better.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. I was doing what I thought I needed to do. So it was funny. I'll be watching the scales and I'll get to like 65 kilos. I'm like, I'm not letting you go over 65 65 kilos. And then I'll get to 70. I'm like, you are not going over 70. And then it just kept going up and up. And I stopped looking at 85 kilos. I was like, I'm not looking at the scale anymore. But definitely went up a lot more after 85. But I was just,
Fuck.
yeah, not having it.
That would have sucked.
Yeah,
So
it sucked.
Now, what are you tracking at calorie-wise? If you track it
I'm
all?
not tracking at the moment. I'm now working with ATP Science.
Yep.
So I went to their naturopath. So my last specialist I went to, he was great. He actually put me on T3 now, which is exactly what I needed because my T3 was, like my T4 wasn't converted to T3. Do you know much about hormone stuff? Yeah, cool.
Johnny's like, yep, cool.
Yeah, totally.
Just smile and wave.
T3, yeah.
So, and he's just like, you're in range now. There's nothing else I can do. I'm like, well, I still don't feel 100%. I'm still having issues. So then I decided to go try ATP Science, try and talk to a naturopath. And they're like, we want to get you optimal, which is like you said. So right now I'm trying a couple of their different medication and I'm waiting till in 2 weeks to go do my next bloods.
Yep.
And we'll see what else we can do.
ATP Science came on into the supplement world and kind of really changed things for the better, I feel.
Yeah.
Their products are very much tailored towards becoming an optimal human, optimizing the human, and understanding that we all should function at a very high level, not just physically, but also cognitively.
Yeah.
And then on a hormonal level. Their products are brilliant.
Well, I was going to a endocrinologist at Greenslopes Hospital, and he's like one of the best for thyroid. And then he's just like, oh, you're fine now. You're in a range. You can go to your GP, and they'll just give you. I'm like, this can't be the end. I was like, there has to be something else. And then at my gym, everyone was doing the gut health stuff and all the ATP things. And I was like, I want to try their thyroid support product. So I decided to just book it.
No.
3, 4, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
3,
that's
2,
right.
yeah, something like that. So I decided to go give that a go. But I was like, I'm going to talk to the naturopath just to make sure I'm going to do the right thing, and I don't want to try all their products and make sure they give me a bit of a protocol. And then she looked at my blood. She's like, oh, you're not optimal. We want you these numbers. I'm like, okay, someone actually knows where I want to be. So I'm just going to work with them and maybe my GP, maybe play my medication a little bit to try and get there. But hopefully with some of the support supplements, I won't need to up my medication. Hopefully
That's awesome.
It's so frustrating
No, it
to have
works
to
a bit.
deal with that process with doctors though, like that. It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
That stuff drives me bonkers.
Oh, just being in the fitness industry and getting fat is not fun. But it was interesting because I was powerlifting. Everyone thought I was bulking.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, oh, you're looking strong. You're looking bulky.
thick.
Yeah. Or people asking like, are you okay? Are you emotionally okay? Because you just, and also the worst thing is at this time I was going through like a really bad breakup. My skin was fully broken out because of the thyroid. I was gaining so much weight and it was not a fun mix.
Fuck no. How'd you deal with that though? Because like, that's a shit ton to happen at once. Obviously, you got stressed and led to the thyroid issues. But how do you just deal with people commenting constantly?
I think once I found out it was thyroid, it was good to kind of have a reason. Like it was good to be like, okay, it's not me. I can blame it on something else that wasn't me, because I always thought, as I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I'm kind of not at all. So I was constantly blaming myself for it all, and then once I could say it's not me, it's this thing, then I could relax a little bit more, having like a bit of an answer. But yeah, I think a lot of people kind of commenting. Some people out of love. I definitely left. I was training at Fitness First at the time, and I did leave that gym because there was a lot of bitchy females, and I was one of the strongest girls in the gym, and then just seeing my body weight kind of trickle up, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So I think, you just kind of deal with it. But I think just constantly trying to find an answer. You just focus on other things. You don't worry about what everyone else is thinking too much. You just kind of have your head on one goal.
And now you're in a good range.
Yeah, so I'm definitely in a range now, and I'm on the right track.
Have
So
you been able to use your journey to help other people, or at least give them some advice or anything?
yeah, whenever I meet people that have kind of going through a similar thing, I've now got a bunch of like specialists and people I can kind of send them to, of like trying to follow the same journey. But It's crazy. No one really wants to take full control of their health. They kind of say like, oh, my doctor said this and they put me on this. And I'm like, if I listen to the first doctor I talked to, I would be massive right now.
Yeah,
like I
fuck.
couldn't imagine what it would be if I listened to the first doctor. So, and I actually liked that doctor. She was cool. She was like this cute little Indian lady. And after that, just completely cut.
But do you think, I mean, I personally think, and this is my own personal opinion, but people put too much faith in doctors.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like they just
There
believe.
can be bad ones too.
Yeah, like there's just way too much buy-in that you think they're the be-all and end-all of health, where I truly believe, like, as I said before, there is someone out there with the result we have or we want. Like if I'm wanting to be the strongest person in the world, I'm going to go ask the strongest person in the world questions. How do I do that? And I feel like we need to kind of apply the same mentality with our own health. Like, and I'm talking health specifically. Like, if someone came and asked me about health, like, I'm probably the one. Oh, actually, no, I'm probably one of the better ones to ask because I've had so many issues. I've had to find the right way of doing things. And I think we need to adopt that mentality.
How many doctors are sitting across from you when you're asking for help with your health that probably are way less healthy than you at the same time?
Yeah. It's funny. My favorite GP right now, who prescribes me pretty much anything I want. I went to her originally to get a cortisone.
Can I talk to her?
I went to her originally because I needed another cortisone in my shoulder from a jiu-jitsu injury. I had plenty of them. And when I was there, I was like, actually, I need to go see this endocrinologist. And she's just like, oh, I'll send you to that and I'll give you this full blood panel. And then she's like morbidly obese and she gives me whatever I ask her to give me. And she's very supportive. But it is a little bit interesting saying, I need to lose weight. And she's looking at me like, okay.
I mean, I guess I'm not really one to comment on that. I just don't understand it. Like, as you said before, it's why wouldn't you want to
be optimal?
Well, be optimal. Just take care of yourself. Like, I've never understood that.
No, people just don't want to take control. I guess that's the thing.
But why?
People eat unhealthy food when they know they shouldn't be. I've seen your diet, but people...
Hey, my diet's changed a lot. So it used to be bad, but then, like, again, I got to a point where that couldn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just that people haven't gotten to that point there, like yourself. It took you, unfortunately, 25 kilos of weight gain for you to go, I need to really find this answer.
Yeah. Well, when I first got into jiu-jitsu and training, I lost about 25 kilos and I loved being like leaner and smaller. It was like my body was like one of my favorite things. Then having it just reverse on me was one of the worst things that can happen. Especially when you've been big. So I've been chubby like my whole life, my whole teenage life. And then finally being like in a really healthy weight. I wouldn't say skinny. I had decent amount of muscle. I was fit. And then having that just taken away from you, you really want to fight to get it back.
But how much of that whole process has now made you a better coach and made you a better entrepreneur because you've had to find ways of dealing with all this stuff?
It's definitely made me a lot more understanding with people when it comes to weight loss. I've realized that it's not just, it gets me a little bit mad with a lot of weight loss things and weight loss challenges because I'm like, everyone's different. Like if I enter any basic weight loss thing, I've been to so many like different dietitians over the years and they're like, oh, just do this diet, and I'll do their diet exactly and it wouldn't work out. I'm like, not everyone is the same. So a lot of people that come to me now with weight loss, I'm like, you can lose weight doing this, but there's also like you could be in this area. So I have a lot of women that are a lot older come to me. I'm like, it's gonna be a little bit harder. Like it's not just that easy.
Journey for them.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain to people like everyone's different. Like some people it's gonna take years, other people it could take 6 weeks. Yeah,
it's like if you're promoting an 8-week weight loss program, fuck off.
Well, before I went through all this, I would have definitely been like, get this in 8 weeks. Like I would have definitely seen it like that. But until you go through your own journey, you realize, you realize 8 weeks is nothing. I
still stand by it. If you're promoting an 8-week fat loss program, fuck off.
Lose 8 kilos in 8 weeks. Money back.
Fuck off. I just think that, it takes a conscious shift of the whole industry. And I truly believe that, like, if we all, like, what's the saying? The rising tide.
Rising tide raises all boats.
That's the one. Like, if
did you understand that?
Yeah, no, I did. But like, that's the thing. If we all get better, everything gets better.
Yeah.
And it's not about me being better than you. It's not about you being better than me. It's just this whole industry needs to change for the better. And don't get me wrong, there's heaps of good, and there's a lot of good people out there doing great things for it. But we see it, and because we're in it, I think we're exposed to a lot more. Just the shit. And like, I know that's a bit of a tangent, but I remember talking to you along this journey, the amount of information that you've had to shift through, and I've been there through the shit, and it's like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Why is that even a thing? And it's just appalling, but then I guess it also gives light to the people who are doing well, because now you've learned something. You can say that doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely. I think more people need to just take control of their own health and then just don't stop at one answer. If you don't think it's right and you're going to question it, then actually kind of search till you find the answer.
But no, you said it right there. Question it.
Yeah.
Question it, don't accept it.
Yeah, like question it. Will this work for me? Will this fit my lifestyle? Like, you live probably one of the most hectic lifestyles ever, dude. Like, since the age of 16, you have just been probably non-stop in something or pursuing something. Like, you need something that's going to work within your own lifestyle. Like, what time do you start of a day?
Wake up at 4 every day.
Every day?
Yeah, every day. Even if I don't have to, I'll wake up at 4.
Damn, like a rooster.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't enjoy it. I hate waking up at 4. I set my alarm outside my bedroom just so I have to sleep out to go and turn it off. And I tell myself I'm not getting back into bed. So
Even on day off?
Even on a day off.
Damn, you're a savage.
Yeah, just go
I'm
jump in the
sleeping in
shower.
on day off.
You've got good morning routines, though.
Yeah, I try. If I have time, I try and now do more yoga. And so for years, I think when we first started training together, you kept telling me I need to meditate. I've heard that a million times that I need to meditate. So it's one of the best things when you have stress-induced thyroid issues is you have to meditate. But I physically can't. I still can't. I've done all the meditation challenges. I've done the float tanks. I've done all the apps, all the programs, and it's just not for me. But I've found now doing yoga and breathing
and
has
that's what
definitely
I think
helped.
the same thing. It's not necessarily meditation of sitting on a yoga mat. It's fucking
meditation for you.
It's exactly something that creates mindfulness in the moment, and yoga would be one of the most perfect things because you have to bring your focus and intention to what you're doing in that present moment, how you're moving, how your body is, and you could develop this awareness of where your body is in space, and that creates mindfulness. That creates and brings your attention into something and one sole focus. That's meditation. Yeah.
That's
I don't fucking meditate sitting on a mat. I can't even cross my legs without getting uncomfortable.
Kind of how I always pictured you meditating, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
If I meditate, it's either I'm laying on my back on the floor of my office with my headphones in, my feet up, because that's where I'm most comfortable, or I'm training. Training, the same thing with the yoga. I have to bring my focus, my breath into one specific activity where it forces me to be actually present in the moment. And that's what being mindful and mindfulness meditation is based around. So I believe that you can be practicing or being meditated, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in whatever space you want, as long as it brings that intent and focus to that one activity.
Yeah.
If you're meditating on a mat and the only focus you can have is the fucking TV on in front of you or something else in the back with cars driving past, you're not meditating. Go fuck off. And then don't post on social media. That's another tangent. Don't start me. But my point is, it's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
And you've clearly found it.
Well, I always thought jiu-jitsu was that thing that I could focus on, and that was my mindful activity until I realized that it was the thing that was putting me into fight or flight all the time.
Because you got another human dictating.
Yeah.
It's a really stressful moment there.
Yeah, it was. I used to find it because it used to just, you don't think of anything else but that moment. But then when I realized my body was in constant fight or flight mode, I realized it's probably wasn't the relaxing thing for me.
Because you can't really control, you can't control the outcome necessarily. There's another external, imagine if Johnny laid on me, man, that'd be fucking hard. He's heavy.
You'll like that though.
You would
I
like
would
it.
love to have
honest.
Johnny lay on me. Platform exclusive.
Be tight and close.
Our podcast ends up there way too much. But in a
Lord.
good sense. But now, what's next for you? What's on the cards for Tiae and the business, and where do you see yourself? Obviously, COVID's changed
6
a few
more
things.
businesses. What else we own?
So obviously it depends on, hopefully we do not lock down again. That is going to determine a few things. Although lockdown was good, I actually lost quite a bit of weight over lockdown because I was relaxed and I wasn't stressed and I wasn't working and I wasn't fighting people. So I was surprisingly quite relaxed. I was walking and doing yoga. So lockdown wasn't the worst experience. It's actually quite enjoyable. So next, the goal is to open up more studios if we don't lock down, but I don't think we should in Queensland. And then just go from there. I want to get to 25 within the next few years. And then
Come back to powerlifting.
Come back to powerlifting, yeah.
And
We said the same thing.
I want to get to my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I've been training jiu-jitsu now 8.5 years.
Fuck yeah.
So a lot of people do get their black belt by this point, but I have taken off so much injury time. I think I'm one of the most injured people at my gym. I seem to be prone to injuries. Just, I can't go on the mat without injuring something or someone landing on me or falling on me. And then, so get my black belt in jiu-jitsu and then hopefully get as strong as possible.
All I heard was coming back to powerlifting. That's awesome. Now, you are actually one of the probably most boss people I know, and you keep, I personally find you really inspiring because of what you do and what you've done in the last 12 years. So you keep doing that. But before we wrap up, here are the 10 questions. Now, I want to stress to the listeners, she did not cover her ears in the last episode.
I'm
when
still
she
gonna,
she
This is
cheated.
still going to be terrible anyway. But I think these are the same questions you did on the last podcast that you released online, so...
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, we change them every 10 episodes. But
They're
are you ready? Rapid fire.
Biggest lesson you've learned?
Always find an expert. Don't stop at one.
If you could live underwater, would you?
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Oh, really?
Well, when I was little, I always wanted to be a mermaid. So if
fair.
I can be a mermaid,
You can.
You can be whatever you want to be.
Yes.
What's your biggest challenge?
At the moment, probably my thyroid has always been my biggest challenge, or having to build a business through COVID.
Now, I want you to really think about this before you answer.
Oh, is this the cereal soup
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, is cereal a soup?
I pushed it
If
for you.
it isn't, why not? And if it is, why is it?
I'm going to say it's not soup
But why?
because of what my definition of what soup is.
What is it?
It's usually like either, it could be hot or cold liquid, but it's usually vegetable based.
Thank you.
Whoa! You've never had vegetable-based cereal?
Cereal, no, and you
No,
shouldn't.
'cause I
That
don't
sounds
want that shit.
disgusting.
Yeah, like legitimately. Sorry if you're vegan.
Oh,
out
but
there.
something awesome I've done recently is you make like a really creamy protein shake and pour it on top of cereal instead of milk. That is so good.
I feel like when you say that's been a thing for a while.
I've only just been introduced to this. It is a game changer.
What conspiracy theory do you think is real?
I don't really dabble too much in conspiracy theories because it's a rabbit hole that you really go into it, but I do like the idea of aliens. I kind of hope there is aliens, and I do like the simulation theory. So
Oh, you've
Matrix.
done some Rogan. Would you join a cult?
more than likely I probably wouldn't know that I was in a cult if I was in a cult. But if it's like a really good one, yeah, probably. Sounds like fun.
What's one of your rules?
I don't know if I should use the expert one again. That kind of take full control of my health.
Ooh, well, good one.
I think you'll know this one. How many chickens to kill an elephant?
Is there an actual answer to this?
It's what the-
Anton suggested 75. He's probably the most dangerous person.
If you're
alive.
asking if Johnny knows the answer, no.
I'm not sure if it's
Should
been
we see if
tested.
it's an actual answer?
Well, we can do that, but what's your answer?
I'm gonna have to say.
Well, that last week's was
I'm
pretty
gonna say like. It depends. What's the quality health of this elephant?
It's
Is
a
this
quality
like,
elephant,
Is this like
African,
is this like a
big
big
bull
male
elephant, yeah.
I'm gonna
It's a
say
big
a
dog.
fair few hundred. I'm thinking, is he asleep or awake?
No, he's
'Cause
awake.
that
He's
also-
angry and aggressive. He's got chickens nearby. He knows what's coming.
I'm gonna say a couple hundred.
Couple hundred, nice.
Yeah.
Your life is a video game. What cheat code would you like?
The ability to never have to sleep, but always be awake.
Like that. Now, you've just been arrested. What does your family assume you've been arrested for?
So first of all, I think it's a mistake, but
Pleading
but
not
if
guilty already.
But then if they start thinking about it, they will probably say I probably got in a fight or we naked choked someone or took the blame for someone else.
Lovely.
That's the best. Mate, you are an absolute fucking baller and a boss lady in every sense of the word.
Well,
But
I'll take wild.
where can people find you if they want to reach out about your journey, ask questions?
So Instagram is Tiae Marks. My name is spelled Tiae. My mum made it up to confuse everyone, and so now-
Actually?
Yep. So all my
She's a
siblings
boss.
have made up names. We all have made up spelling names. So we all have unique spellings,
That's-
which is really good in the age of social media and internet because I always get my email or username for everything. So it works well. But I'm also extremely easy to stalk. So online dating, always have to drop the E. Otherwise, you'll always find me online. So Tiae Marks on Instagram. YouTube is Strong Happy Healthy and Facebook is Strong Happy Healthy. And do not watch the underwear video, please.
No, we're putting that link up in the
Please
show
do
notes
that.
as well.
That's
It
gonna be
is
the top
terrible. It is the worst video in the world.
I don't even know if
We wouldn't even make the whole way through. It's terrible. But I've
But 4.6 million views.
well, the worst thing is one of the reasons why I stopped YouTubing was because I was waiting for my YouTube to get verified so I can start making money from it. And I'm watching that video go viral. I'm like, don't go viral yet. So wait till I get my own thing. So I was supposed to make, I think it was supposed to be close to like $10,000 from those views, but I only ended up making like just under 1,000 from it because it went viral before I got. Yeah. So, but it's still, it might have another spike. So.
Oh,
Well,
you
Well,
know,
once we reach there,
exactly,
it's
you know.
pretty
That-
Woof.
To the moon.
There's nothing sexual about that video. Nothing at all.
Except the creeps who are now messaging for.
Yeah,
the
people
other
are
underwear.
like, she doesn't even show him. Like, make a second one. Let's see him. It's just very.
Make one with Brando,
It's great.
and then he
Yeah,
sells
or
it.
we can have
underwear to wear. When
yeah,
you're
Strong Happy
powerlifting.
Healthy underwear. No, Strong Happy Healthy underwear worn by Brandon that we can then sell.
Look, it would go like because I know. Anyways, let's digress.
Jonah's going to
Thank-
buy more.
thank you so much for joining us. This will come out in a couple of weeks, and we thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time this afternoon. You're a
No
legend.
problem. Thanks, guys.
We clap. 3, 2, 1.
Well, you're not.
Eating donuts.
Aren't you gluten free and
Yeah, 100%.
healthy?
I allow myself one thing per week.
That's a good way to mess up your gut.
Fucking oath it is.